Om Namah Shivaya, Om Amriteshwaraya Namaha. Very warm namaskarams to all of you. Welcome to the inaugural function of the Ṛgvedic Geography online course. Let us begin with a short prayer. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om Dhyayamo Dhavalava Tejomayim Naishthigim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmida Shrimukhim Vatsalyamritavarshinim Sumaturam Sankirtana Lapinim Shyamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Amriteshwaraya Namah. Om Amriteshwaraya Namah. Om Amriteshwaraya Namah. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you all to the prestigious course offered by Amrita School of Spiritual and Cultural Studies, Amrita Vishwavidyapitham. Amrita School of Spiritual and Cultural Studies has been involved in the learning and propagation of our great Dharma treasures, treasures of knowledge. We already offered many online and offline courses, certification courses, diploma courses, and we also conduct seminars, workshops, retreats, lecture series, and other academic activities also. As you all know, Ṛgveda is one of the most ancient works of the entire human literature. It is the vision of great sages and the foundation of Sanatana Dharma and Indian civilization. Of course, it is the treasure house of great philosophical wisdom, but it is also serves as the route map to our civilizational history of entire Bharatvarsh or entire humanity. This course will cover the historical and geographical aspects of Ṛgveda and the people, the Vedic people. In addition, it will also shed light to many unanswered questions about Vedic civilization and culture, especially, Aryan invasion and all those theories and out of India theory and all. It is our honor and privilege to have Shri Jijith Nadumuri Ravi, a distinguished academic, writer. He's former ISRO space scientist, and he's curating our course. Let us welcome you, sir. We have Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Shankar here, sir here. He's the Dean of School of Engineering, Amritapuri campus, and he also serves as the principal, School of Computing, Amritapuri. He has been always extended his support to our school, our activities, and our courses. I would like to welcome our beloved Bala sir to the inaugural function. Sure, sir. Now, let me welcome most revered Brahmachari Achyutamrita Chaitanya ji, Honorable Principal of Amrita School of Spiritual and Cultural Studies. He is a well-known scholar in Indian culture, literature, and philosophy. Welcome, Achyutamrita Chaitanya ji. Respected Brahmachari Shivanandan ji is also with us. He is coordinating all the online programs of our school. He's a scholar in Indian culture and Indian knowledge systems. Let us welcome Brahmachari Shivanandan ji. Last but not least, dear students, thank you all for joining to this wonderful course. Let me welcome you all to the inaugural function. Now, let me invite Dr. Balakrishnan Shankar sir, Dean of School of Engineering, Amritapuri campus, and Principal of School of Computing, Amritapuri, to deliver his inaugural address. Namaskar.
Shaya Om Amriteshwaraya Namah. Thank you, Suraj, for your kind words. I would also second Suraj and all the people here in welcoming, at least online, Shri Jijith Nadumuri Ravi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Thanks.
Very wonderful to see a scientist turned philosopher, a person from ISRO and engineer, and who's now doing research in the Ṛgveda and the geography of the Ṛgveda, published on the geography of the Ṛgveda. I'm also very happy that, you know, all my colleagues of the School of Spiritual Sciences, Achyutamrita Swami and others are here. And I would like to congratulate the School of Spiritual Sciences here at Amritapuri once again for yet another wonderful course that they have conceived of, this online course on the geography of the Ṛgveda. The School of Spiritual Sciences here has offered online courses on the Ramayana, on the Mahabharata, several seminars on several technical terms. But I think this is one of the most exciting courses that you could have offered, considering the impact and the relevance that it could still have. Personally, I mean, I've grown up all my life hearing about the mythical river Saraswati. And I remember it was so exciting for me when I read that IIT scientists had done radiocarbon dating and done actual, you know, archaeological work in proving that, yes, there was a river Saraswati that went dry. I'm not an expert on the timelines and other things, but that was a very exciting moment to be able to reaffirm my roots and to understand how wonderful our culture has been. The curiosity about the Ṛgveda, of course, started when I read that the world famous Gayatri mantra came from the Ṛgveda, and people all over the world chant it, and it's such a wonderful philosophical treasure in itself. And so to understand what our ancestors, what their lifestyle was like, where it was placed, what is the scenario of who composed or whose hymns went down in the Ṛgveda, I think that's extremely important. So the geography of the Ṛgveda, it's extremely important. And especially if people can more arrive at the dates of the Saraswati River, that could even help us to find the dates of the Mahabharata. And there are scholars who are talking about that, because in Mahabharata there is references to Balarama having visited towns on the coast, on the banks of the river Saraswati. So anyway, that is more into history than into geography. But in any case, it's a very exciting field of work, a field of study. And it's wonderful that such an online course is going on. I hope that scholars will come and debate, and more light will be thrown on this very important subject. I wish all the students here all the best, and wish them a very exciting and wonderful learning time ahead of you all. The School of Spiritual Sciences in Amritapuri has a national reputation of very unique courses, and I once again congratulate the team here for coming up with this wonderful course. So may Amma's grace bless all of you with all the success. Thank you. Thank you, Suraj, once again. Wish you all the best. Namaskar.
Thank you, Bala sir, for your inspiring words. I would like to request respected Brahmachari Achyutamrita Chaitanya ji to deliver his presidential address.
My humble prostrations at Amma's lotus feet, and my salutations to the reputed scholar Jijith Nadumuri Ravi, and my pranams to our beloved Bala sir, who has always been an inspiration to us in all our endeavors, and also the young soldiers of School of Spiritual and Cultural Studies like Suraj Subramaniam, and also the leader Shivanand. My pranams to all of you. And this is a very wonderful session that we are going to have throughout this year. This is a one-year course, as I have I was informed, and we have planned it as a one-year course. And Jijith Nadumuri Devi offers a very extensive course exploring various aspects of Ṛgveda, especially the geography and the timeline of events, if my knowledge is correct. And I'm not a person to discuss or speak anything on these aspects of Ṛgveda, but some knowledge that I have from my background of spiritual studies and literature, especially Bhakti literature, all those things. We approach Vedas in different ways. There are many roles that Vedas fulfill in our life, in Indian life. As all of us know, Vedas are the fundamental texts of Sanatana Dharma. There is no question. Even though there is another tradition of Tantra, the Tantra aspects are all proved to be connected to Vedas. There are many studies have already been done to find the parallels or the connections between the Tantric concepts and the Vedic concepts. So this is an entirely different branch. Even if some people argue that there is a different stream of Tantra in India, which was very ancient, maybe as ancient as Veda tradition itself, then there is no problem in it because we can find parallels. The main aspect of Tantra philosophy or Tantra practice is related to temples, we know. And all the rituals in the temples can be mapped to different Vedic rituals. That's a very deep and complex subject. But what I wanted to convey you is that Vedas are the foundation of our Sanatana Dharma. So, but the different concepts of Vedas and the approaches to Vedas, all these things have many dimensions, sometimes controversies also. As you know, in the ancient, the traditional viewpoint, some sects, some class of students of people are not allowed entry into Vedas. We all know. So it has been a very hot topic of debate. So that is one at one side. Then the other side, people like Arya Samaja, then the famous Swami Dayananda Saraswati, all these great sons of India have proved that it is accessible to all. It should be delivered to all. Vedas are not the monopoly of anyone. It is the common wealth of all the humanity. That is what Dayananda Saraswati's tradition says. And in Kerala, there have been great reformists and scholars like Chattampi Swamigal, who has written a great work, Vedadhikara Nirupana, in which he proved that Vedas are for all. It mainly deals with knowledge, and knowledge cannot be prohibited. Knowledge cannot be denied to anyone. And all these great argumentations are there in the Vedadhikara Nirupana and many works of Arya Samajis, all these things we can see. So anyway, these different types of approaches, many debatable ideas about Vedas, all these are there. Let them be there, but our main approach to Vedas is that Vedo Akhilo Dharma Moolam. The foundation of all Dharma is none other than Vedas. So this is a famous statement. It can be found in many texts, Vedo Akhilo Dharma Moolam. And the great Vedantin Shankaracharya, who has proved who has established the supremacy of the Uttarakanda or the later portion of Vedas, which is Upanishads. He has proved that the Karmakanda of Vedas are not ultimate statements of reality, or the ultimate discussion of supreme reality doesn't come in the Purva Kanda of Vedas, but it comes in the Uttarakanda, the Vedanta, the Upanishads. He has proved that with his sharp intellect, his divine powers of oratory, on language, his command on language, on logic, his all all-faceted, multifaceted talent, genius, and divine grace. He has proved that it is the second part or the later part, Uttara Bhaga, Uttarakanda of Vedas, which are authorities, which gives the clear picture of what is the nature of reality, and that's called Jnanakanda. You all know, maybe you will come across all these points during this 1 year course. Our expert Jijith Nadumuri Ravi will hopefully shed light on all these things, because they're very long. Even at least in the introduction part, he may be throwing light on all these things. But this very Shankaracharya, in the end, during the end of his life, he gave a message to his disciples, his followers, who wanted to follow the path of Vedanta, the Uttarakanda, the Jnanakanda portion of Vedas. That famous work is called Sadhana Panchaka or Upadesha Panchaka. And the very first verse of Sadhana Panchaka, that is the practices to be followed by a seeker of truth, delivered in 5 verses. That is Sadhana Panchaka. The very first line of Sadhana Panchaka is Vedo Nityam Athiyada Tadudidam Karma Swanushtiyada. One has to daily recite, daily study, daily reflect on Vedas. Vedo Nityam Athiyada. Study Vedas daily. This is the first injunction that Shankaracharya has given to his followers. So even he belonged to the Vedanti or Uttara Mimamsaka. Still, he prescribes the study of Vedas as the primary duty of all seekers of truth. So this is the greatness of Vedas. Then we know in Bhagavad Gita also, in the 15th chapter, Bhagavan says, which is a text of Vedanta only. But Krishna says is, Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyo. Even I can be known, or I have to be known, I have to be realized by the study of Veda, by the practicing the prescriptions of Veda, the instructions of Veda. So Veda's greatness is underlined by Lord Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also. Many verses are there in Bhagavad Gita which proves the supremacy of Vedas. Even though Bhagavan has stated some statements in which Vedas are, the karma kanda of Vedas are stated as ulterior or not as great as the Jnanakanda portion. So anyway, Vedas are the foundation on which Sanatana Dharma is built. Then another question is, why should we learn the meaning of Vedas? There is a school of thought in which it is said that Vedas meaning need not be understood. They have to be pronounced or uttered or chanted during the different rituals in the Vedic yajna, all these traditions. I have read an article in the Kalyan, which is a famous monthly magazine from Gita Press, a very old issue, maybe some 50 years back, released issue, in which there was one article in which the great scholar says that the mantras have no, it has only powers inbuilt in the chanting, in the ucharana, in the patha. So you need not bother about the meaning, just chant the Vedic mantras and you will get the benefit. So that kind of a thought is there. But the great Veda scholar or the great Acharya who has proposed the science of etymology of Vedas, Niruptam, the great Yaska says that Yaska states one who doesn't understand the meaning of Vedas and just chant the Vedas, he is Sthanurayam Bharaharaha. He's just like a pillar which carries the whole weight of a building. The person who doesn't understand the meaning of the Vedic mantras are just like pillars, sthanu. He will not be benefited by the Vedas. That is what the great Acharya Yaska says about it. So Vedic mantras has to be explored, has to be reflected, its meaning has to be understood. Then only we can actually progress in the path of Vedic study. And here Jijith Nadumuri Ravi is going to present another entirely different topic, which is the geography, mainly the geography of Vedas. So we come back to Arya Samajis. Their thought is that all the things described or presented in the Vedas have no connection to this world. It all belongs to an ideal world, a transcendental world. They say that Vishwamitra is not a person who lived on this earth. You cannot ever find any history in Vedas. You cannot find any geography in Vedas. These are not mundane things. These are not related to this world. That kind of an argument is there. Arguments are there from the Arya Samaji viewpoint. So, but they have other scholars like who wrote the Vaidika Sampatti, a great work in 4 volumes, which explores the etymology of words, history of words, or Vedic. As far as we know, the main lands of Veda is the Sapta Sindhu Pradesh or Madhya Desha, as it is called in Sanskrit, which includes the Sindhu, the banks of Sindhu River, then the places surrounding the disappeared Saraswati River, and many places are now in the north western part of India as well as. So these places mentioned in Vedas are mainly, as I mentioned, in the Sindh of now Pakistan. Then the old, even Gandhara, you can find mention of Gandhara in the Vedic literature. I have come across all these things while I was studying the Upanishads. I haven't studied the Vedas, but in the Upanishads, which are the end part of Vedas, as you know, the Samhita, Aranyaka, Samhita Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads come in Samhita, Aranyaka as well as Brahmana. So all these three sections of Vedas contain Upanishads. So when the Upanishads were taught to us in the ashram, all these places were discussed, especially in Shankara Bhashya. In the Chandogya Upanishads, there is this famous Ashwapadi's episode, and Ashwapadi says in that context, in that episode of Chandogya Upanishad, about his state, his nation, his country. It is called Janapada. Ashwapadi says, "Namesteno Janapade, na kadadyo na madhyabaha, na anahidagnir na vidva, na soirini kudaha." Ashwapadi says, in my state, in my province, there is Namesteno, there are no thieves. Namesteno Janapade, na kadaryo, there are no cheats. Na madhyabaha, there are no drunkards. Na vidwan, there are no fools, there are no uneducated, illiterate people. Na vidwan. Na anahidagdir, there are no one who doesn't do agni karma, that is yajna. Na soiri kuda, and there are no licentious men or women there who breaks laws, who engages themselves in illicit relationships. So all these things are mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad, where Ashwapadi's episode comes. But the episode is related to jnana. So the places are described like this, which belongs to a place in the Vedic text. Maybe Jijith Nadumuri will explain all these things later. I hope he will include the Upanishadic mentions also, Upanishadic references also. So all these things attract our attention, and the study of the geography and the timeline of Vedic history or Vedic episodes, Vedic incidents. The incidents took place in the Vedic era. All these things are really worth studying, exploring, and this will boost our self-esteem, the national pride also, and the knowledge about Vedas will be nourished, will be enriched, and a study into the depths of the Vedas, into the depths of the knowledge that the Vedas want to convey or want to impart us, will also be enriched by the study of these geographical aspects of Vedas, the Vedic places, Vedic incidents, etc. So I pray to Amma that her grace be showered on all of us, so that we can go through the whole 1-year course, online course on the Vedic geography. And I wish all the very best to this course and the participants, the students. With this, I offer my words at Amma's speech. So,
thank you so much, Swami, for your words of wisdom. Let me welcome Shri Jijith Nadumuri Ravi ji. Sir, please introduce the course to our students. Thank you.
Namaste, Namaskar. So I wholeheartedly thank Amrita University and the organization for having this this particular course on the this geography of Ṛgveda, and I'm very much aligned with the two former speakers, Balakrishnan ji and Achyutananda ji. Actually, they have touched upon many aspects of the Ṛgvedic study, as well as given a kind of outline of the geographical aspects as well as the philosophical aspect of Ṛgveda. And this particular talk, this particular session today, we will have a kind of introduction to the overall course. And actually, I have the responsibility of contextualize it in terms of the diverse studies that is there in the as per centered around Ṛgveda. So to be very clear, the Ṛgveda is not a kind of a primarily a kind of a geography text, but then nor it is a historical text. So its the primary purpose is the Ṛgvedic hymns, that is the suktas, and there are 1028 suktas in the Ṛgveda, which each of them like focusing on the worship of Ṛgvedic devatas like Indra, Mitra, Varuna, then Vishnu. So all these Ṛgvedic devatas are the primary focus of the Ṛgvedic suktas. And definitely you will also be able to see a lot of philosophical aspects being focused in the Ṛgvedic suktas, the Sukta or the Purusha Sukta, so most of them in the 10th mandala of the Ṛgveda. So its primary focus and domain is in the domain of like if you can say the devatas. So devatas, and there are kings who are benefited from the worship of the devatas, like kings like Sudas, Divodasa, Pradardana, like that. And there are sages, all famous sages like Vasishta, Vishwamitra, Atri, Gautama, Kritsamada, like some not very familiar, but very very famous in the Ṛgveda. So many Ṛgvedic sages. So we have this triangular kind of relationship in the Ṛgveda, the devatas and the Ṛgvedic patrons who establish or give the foundation of for the worship of the devatas, and the rishis themselves who, as part of the worship of the devatas, conceive the suktas in their mind and then bring about the Ṛgvedic suktas or hymns in praise of the devatas. So these are the kind of transactions that you will see in the Ṛgveda. So why there is a possibility of studying the geography or chronology inside Ṛgveda, that will be a kind of an interesting question. So the reason is that Ṛgveda is considered even from the Western Indologists who focus on Aryan invasion theory. Even they admit that Ṛgveda is the oldest text, oldest literature of humanity. So if you look at the Greek or Roman or any kind of Indo-European literature, or if you focus on non-Indo-European, African or Mesoamerican or anywhere in the world, this is the one literature which is very ancient, that is survived, and we are able to look at it from the 21st century. So in that ancient period, when the rishis, our maharshis, when they recorded the Ṛgvedic hymns, in the sense not there is no tape recorder or any kind of devices, anything in that ancient period, and because of the power of the tapas, these ancient rishis were able to not only compose the Ṛgvedic hymns, but they were able to record it in their memory. 10,500 plus sloka, these riks. So Ṛgvedic slokas are called riks. So 10,500 plus riks arranged into 1,028 suktas and to 10 mandalas. They were able to have all this in their, commit all this into their memory. And Vedavyasa, who was living somewhere to the end of the 10th mandala of the Ṛgveda in the Kurukshetra war period, he was able to arrange it into the current form that we are now able to see it. So all this has happened and everything has been recollected into the memory, and because of the tapashakti of the ancient sages, it has been transmitted generation by generation from guru to shishya, and it has come to us. So because of its ancient origins of the Ṛgveda, it has recorded, because some elements of the geography as well as the history of the ancient period of the rishis. So they were not intentionally doing it, or maybe in the intuition they may have, because the rishis are very powerful. So they may have the intuition that somebody in the later period, like Srikant or some other researchers, will be able to identify the chronological or geographical positioning of the Ṛgveda. But we don't know. But because of the capability of the period in which the Ṛgveda originated, some elements of the geography as well as the chronology got captured into the Ṛgveda. So, for example, it have passing references to the kings who were patronizing the Ṛgvedic rishis. They were giving gifts and supporting these rishis who were composing the suktas. So they, in the Ṛgvedic suktas, you have mentioned about the rishis who the kings like Divadasa and even Bharata, one of the ancient kings, and then Divadasa and Sudasa, who are in the later Puranas considered as ancestors of the Panchala Janapata. So these people are mentioned. So you can actually look at it, the Ṛgvedic sukta, and then find out the father-son relationships or descendant ancestor relationship of these Ṛgvedic kings mentioned in the suktas. That is how you get chronology. There is some relative chronology of which mandala is the oldest or which mandala is the youngest. So, for example, some ancient kings like Divadasa, when you read all the references to the Divadasa in Ṛgveda, you understand this king has been a very ancient king, and he is mentioned contemporary in the 6th mandala. And so we will automatically able to say that 6th mandala is an oldest mandala. And then his descendant Sudas is mentioned as contemporary in the 3rd and 7th mandala, where 3rd mandala dominated by Vishwamitra and 7th by Vasishta. So both of them advisor to King Sudas. So these relationships help us to chronologically align. And then we have a descendant of Sudas, Sahadeva and Somaka in the middle mandalas. So this is how we are able to arrive at the chronology. And similarly, the geography, because Ṛgveda, by passing reference, mentioned about Saraswati River, Drishadpati River, the tributary of Saraswati. It mentioned about Satlaj and Bias, that is Shatadru and Vipasha, and then Parushni, Asikni, then Vitasta, Sindhu, and its tributaries like Sarayu and Ubha, Gomati, and then so many other rivers which are now dried up and not available, like Marudbritha, etc. So these references are found throughout the different mandalas of the Ṛgveda, and you will also see the ancient kings. The oldest kings are like mentioned on the banks of Saraswati, and then another river called Apaya, which is an ancient channel of Saraswati in Kurukshetra. So these are the oldest rivers, and they are mentioned in the oldest mandala, like 6th mandala. And relatively, younger kings are mentioned as crossing, for example, Vishwamitra with the army of Sudas was crossing the confluence of Satlaj and Bias, Satadru and Vipasha in Punjab. So they are chronologically after a later time it is happening. And after some time, the descendants of Sudas like Sahadeva and Somaka are mentioned as crossing the Sindhu River. So this is how we will be able to understand, okay, there is geography. Apart from the chronology, there is an element of geography also in the Ṛgveda. So these are the two elements that we are focusing in this particular 1-year course. And of course, Ṛgveda, when you approach Ṛgveda, we start with an introductory part. That is how even my book, Geography, the Rivers of Ṛgveda, is structured. So I have given an introduction, summary introduction to the 10 mandalas of the Ṛgveda. And within that, I have mentioned this triangular structure of rishis, kings, and devatas. So these three important transactional components in the Ṛgveda. That is, Ṛgveda is all about these three. So Ṛgvedic devatas. So all the devatas, based on their popularity, I'm introducing the Ṛgvedic devatas like Indra, Agni, and others, and also the Ṛgvedic kings and the Ṛgvedic rishis. So it will give a kind of a philosophical foundation also for the students and people who want to pursue the philosophical or the liturgical aspect of Ṛgveda. They will be benefited from the introductory parts, wherein it is the same introduction that we will be able to get anybody focusing on the philosophy of Ṛgveda as well. So that is also considered in the course. So in all the initial sessions will be on establishing a very good foundation for a student. and a good grasp on the structure of Ṛgveda, because most of the people, the entry barrier to Ṛgveda is because lack of familiarity to it. Like, for example, I'll give an example. If you say in Ramayana, you'll say Ayodhya Kanda or Balakanda, if Aranya Kanda, if I say something like that, people will be able to relate, okay, the Balakanda is the first, then Ayodhya is the Ayodhya Kanda second, Aranya Kanda third, Yuddha Kanda. So all these things, we have a kind of, most of the people who have basic familiarity with Ramayana, you got a understanding, okay, this is the sequence. Or if I talk about some events in the life of Rama, that Rama met Atri and Anasuya. So people will be able to relate, okay, it is part of the Ayodhya Kanda. Or if I say Rama met like Vanaras like Sugriva, then we can say, okay, it is in the Kishkinda Kanda, like in Hanu, they met. So all these things, there is a familiarity. In the Mahabharata, if I say the Pandavas are born from Kundi, we can say it's in the Adi Parva of the Mahabharata, or there is a Bhishma as a commander. He was fighting from the Kaurava side. So it is a Bhishma Parva. So this is a kind of a familiarity with the Mahabharata or Ramayana. So similar kind of a familiarity many people are not having on the Ṛgveda. So the initial introductory sessions, we will establish that familiarity, and we will be able to more or less understand like what is the basic nature of the 10th mandala, or what is the nature of the 3rd mandala, or the 7th mandala, or the 2nd mandala of the Krit Samada. So this is the kind of the foundation that we will be getting in the introductory course, and then we will subsequently move towards our focused area of the Ṛgvedic geography. So there is another very interesting difference I have noted when I study the geography of Ṛgveda compared to the geography of Ramayana, which I have been focusing for more than 35 years. But when you compare to the geography of Ramayana, it is the rivers are the maximum or the most primary in the geography of the Ṛgveda. They are the backbones of the Ṛgvedic geography. So in terms of place names, there are not many number of place names mentioned in the Ṛgveda. So of course, the whatever little place names mentioned, they are very much significant for even our national historical consequence, because these place names are all located in Kurukshetra. Currently, what you call Kurukshetra. So it was known as Varaprathuvya, the best place in earth. That is the terminology used by Ṛgveda for defining that same region which came later known as Kurukshetra. So we will be able to go to a chronological period when the name Kurukshetra itself didn't exist, because the name Kurukshetra started getting popularity after King Kuru, who is who lived in the late Ṛgvedic period, and after that the others like the Kuru descendants like Shantanu, then Pandavas and Kauravas all emerged after Kuru. So after Kuru, the place is called Kurukshetra. Before that, it was known as Varaprathuvya, and it was the sacred land between Drishadvati and Saraswati river, and that is currently northern Haryana. So 2-3 places mentioned in Ṛgveda, which is very rare for Ṛgveda to mention place names, all located in the Kurukshetra region. And this is also, you can say, the biggest breakthrough, that because it's completely refuting the Aryan invasion theory, because ancient locations, everything is in the Haryana, northern Haryana region, and the subsequent locations, rivers, everything you will see in the westward continuously direction. So that some of the youngest mandala, somewhere in the middle mandalas, you see they will start talking about Sindhu river. After that, they will talking about some western tributaries of Sindhu, like the Kabul river, which goes to Afghanistan. So anybody reading the Ṛgveda and understanding the geography, it is a very clear. I mean, you don't have to write a single sentence. Automatically, it is refuting the Aryan invasion theory because of the way the rivers are sequenced in the different chronologically different mandalas. So this particular aspect is extremely highly important in terms of the studies of our Bharatiya civilization, and because of these reasons, I was fortunate to be invited by Dr. Conrad Elst and other Indologists for various conferences where I talked about this this is now considered to be discussed with other Indology researchers, and without in a kind of intellectual manner, without any kind of political conflict, we can resolve the problem of Aryan migration into India. That is what the kind of target that we have set for this decade, like 2020 to 2030. And I hope that this will be happening in the form of an intellectual discussions without focusing on any kind of previous baggage about preconceived positions, etc. So it's a fresh understanding and fresh look into the Ṛgvedic data, and only discussing based on what is actually found in the Ṛgveda, and not any kind of preconceived notions about it. So this is another significance, as one of the speakers noted, very important significance, the studies of Ṛgveda, which is allowing us that it can resolve a very long pending problem or long pending question about our origins. And that is one important and the most significant value of the study of the geographical and chronological analysis of Ṛgveda. So that is how the current study is positioned in the academia, and I hope I was clear in positioning it with respect to the traditional established studies of Ṛgveda, which is primarily focused on philosophical and the liturgical, religious based analysis, or reverence towards Ṛgveda. And one other important point I need to note here, and I need to be telling to everybody who are actually the larger ecosystem of Ṛgvedic studies, is that this study is a kind of a unique unique branch of study, I would say, that has been emerged in the last 2 centuries. And it is the way the Indian Indologists or researchers like me as positioning it. It is not negating whatever traditional reverence and respect that we have, and it is not refuting any of the traditional studies into the Ṛgveda, because as Swamiji has pointed out, Ṛgvedic verses are kept having a multidimensional meaning or multidimensional capability to encode information inside that. So while it have a geographical and names of kings, etc., the rishis have created the hymn in such a way that it can have another dimensional kind of an interpretation. And this is, I'm telling based on my study of even in Ramayana and Ṛgveda, also I can see multi-level encoding of information. So if one sloka is encoding a geographical or chronological information, it will also be having a philosophical information already encoded, embedded in it. So one person focusing on the geography doesn't mean that it doesn't have a philosophical meaning. That is how we can actually say that, okay, all the studies are into the different dimensions into the Ṛgveda, not refuting or not interfering with each other. So that is another important aspect I want to place and position our study in respect to the traditional studies into the Ṛgveda. And of course, it's not just something that Western or researchers started or anything. Shayana is our traditional Acharya Shayana have already in his lifetime initiated this kind of an interpretation onto the Ṛgveda, were focusing on the names of rivers and even names of some of the rivers actually he has identified very clearly. This is, I will say that this is also having a representation in our tradition. And maybe this is also a very familiar knowledge for the contemporary rishis, who, unlike us, is not separated by some kind of a 4,000 years gap in the timeline. So they may be, when they composing all these things, they will have a similar kind of a knowledge of they are familiar with their own geography and chronological sequence. So it is something which is very much part of the Ṛgvedic ecosystem, that the geographical and chronological study of Ṛgveda is, you can say, contemporary to the ancient rishis, and also touched upon by many acharyas like Shayana, and that we are only reviving it and using it for a kind of very one of the national importance, that is to solving the question of national importance, which is the analysis of the migration from our Varaprithvi region or the northern Haryana region towards the westward direction into Afghanistan, Central Asia, Iran, and Europe. So this is how I position it, and then we will in every session, one after the other, we will eliminate some or other part of the subject, and we go in a structured way into the Ṛgvedic studies, focusing on the geography of Ṛgveda. That is how I would like to conclude my talk, and many thanks for the Amrita to organize this kind of a talk, to Shivanandanji and Suraj. I also have all the kind of appreciation for having organizing this, and also this wonderful inaugural session as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for starting the 1-year journey by giving the wonderful overview. In Shikshavali of Taittiriya Upanishad, Yajurveda, the Guru passes certain advices to the Shishya. One of the important advice is Swadhyaya Pravajanabhyam na Pramatitavyam. Never neglect the learning and teaching or propagation of this ancient wisdom. By the divine will of Amma and the grace of the rishis, we are getting the opportunity to learn about the primary Veda. Let us do justice to that opportunity. If you have any doubts, the students have any doubts or concerns, please feel free to contact me. My name is Suraj Subramanian, Faculty Associate in Amrita School of Spiritual and Cultural Studies. Those who haven't joined it to the WhatsApp group, please join by using the link which I posted in the comment box. Let me offer our gratitude to Dr. Balakrishnan Shankar sir, Brahmachari Achyutamrita Chaitanya ji, Shri Jijith Nadumuri Ravi sir, Brahmachari Shivanandan ji, my fellow faculty members of Amrita Vishwavidyapitham, and all the dear students. Once again, thank you all. Let us conclude the inaugural session by chanting the Shanti Mantras. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. Hari Om.